Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Brian Pickens, and the mission of my channel is to engage with you on current and upcoming television and film production topics and get your feedback on them. Make sure to hit the notification bell and like and subscribe so you're alerted when new videos come in. Ever since I was a child, I've been a huge fan of the Wachowskis' Matrix franchise. From the impeccable writing and filmmaking of the first movie to the huge scale of the second and third films, the Matrix trilogy has always been one of several cinematic linchpins in my life. It appears that the fourth movie is going back to the roots of what made the first movie so fantastic and iconic. In this video, I will explain why The Matrix Resurrections could be the best Matrix sequel and correct a lot of the mistakes Reloaded and Revolutions made. A large part of what can make a good movie spectacular is a villain. The perfect antagonist makes a good guy question his purpose and see if the enemy had a strong point all along. For the first Matrix movie, Agent Smith ate up the scenery and stole every scene he was in because of how well he was written and how perfectly cast Hugo Weaving was. His performance as Agent Smith was subtle and menacing. He was a force to be reckoned with mentally and physically, but was still sympathetic enough for the audience to understand why his motivations were the way they were. He is easily one of the highlights of the first movie and helped amplify its legacy to new heights. However, one of the reasons The Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions was subpar was because they brought back Agent Smith again after his superb demise at the end of the first movie. It completely undid the triumph about The Matrix's first ending. It also felt extremely repetitive in that they didn't trust a Matrix movie could succeed without recycling old villains. The Merovingian and his twin rogue programs were very well positioned to be the villains in the sequels. They were menacing enough as antagonists, but without being carbon copies of Smith. They would have also provided a brand new set of obstacles for Neo and his gang to adapt and overcome. For the fourth movie, Agent Smith will not return, which will make Lana Wachowski think outside of the box to make a brand new villain that complements the film's story and the Matrix legacy as a whole. The Merovingian will also be returning in the Resurrections. Since he was a bit underutilized in 2 and 3, they can expand upon his role exponentially and make him just as iconic as Agent Smith. In The Matrix, it was all about the audience going on this thrilling ride with Neo to discover what the Matrix really was and how it had an effect on the world at large. It was very grounded with a plethora of characters you cared about, while having all of the action sequences complement the characters' unique abilities. Regardless of how extravagant they were, the audience was already thoroughly invested in Neo, Morpheus, and Trinity, which allowed them to feel the weight from the dangerous missions they had. In The Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions, they prioritized the action set pieces and special effects over character development. They weren't entirely devoid of sympathetic characters, but it was abundantly clear that they did the bare minimum to flesh them out, so that they could squeeze in every large-scale action scene possible. The characterizations almost came off as lazy because it didn't seem like the main trio was really evolving as much as they did in the first movie. They were mainly just pawns to keep the plot moving, instead of the plot serving them directly and fully. From The Matrix Resurrections, it appears that Lana Wachowski is prioritizing character development first again. Below are sequences from the trailer I am quoting from ScreenRant.com. The new trailer opens in San Francisco, with Neo now going by the name Thomas and seemingly unaware of who he is. Neil Patrick Harris plays his therapist, and a brief scene of Neo as Thomas is shown in a therapy session. Neo says, "I've had dreams that don't seem like dreams. Am I crazy?" Before he has flashbacks to the original trilogy. The trailer also expands on the initial footage of Trinity and Neo meeting, but at this time, they don't seem to know each other even though they think they do. Trinity asks Neo as Thomas, "Have we met?" The trailer then shifts into montage mode, with Neo observing day-to-day life in the Matrix's version of San Francisco. Finally, Mantine shows up and he looks like a young Morpheus, saying, "Time to fly," before offering Neo a red pill and a blue pill. Then another young woman with blue hair takes Neo through a mirror, showing him the Matrix. Another scene shows young Morpheus and Neo fighting before Neo breaks the dojo room with his powers. The trailer also shows that the machine pods are back, as are the agents, and the franchise's signature action. Trinity can be seen fighting police officers and agents at one point before the clip ends with Neo pulling his signature move, stopping bullets with his mind before he redirects an entire missile at a helicopter. All of this suggests that Lana has put an emphasis on a new version of Neo and Trinity and the evolution of the world around them. All of the big action set pieces seem to be in service of the characters and not obligatory high-scale action sequences made simply to generate popcorn thrills. They all have purpose and might be used sparingly. The Matrix completely changed the way action movies were made after it debuted in 1999. The practical effects and VFX used to amplify the in-camera effects were game changers and upped the ante in filmmaking from that point forward. Even the second and third movies had phenomenal in-camera practical effects and SFX. In the fourth movie, Lana Wachowski has continued that tradition of putting all practical effects first, instead of opting for green blue screens and CGI set pieces. The action sequences are going to be very visceral and emotionally thrilling. Lana's steadfast commitment to doing everything for real, just like Christopher Nolan and several other filmmakers, will make the big screen theatrical experience that much more enjoyable and tangible. From the copious amount of set photos released last year, it looks like the audience is in for a wild, extravagant ride. When everything is done for real, whether you're filming on location or in a production studio, it gives the actors more to work with and their reactions are live because it's all in real time. If it's all digitally rendered, they have to do more work to really sell their performances in the whole situation. I have nothing against CGI as a whole. I think if it's done properly, it can really help make a movie be better, but it has to be used as a tool, not a crutch. This film has the potential to pay massive respects to the first movie while also paving the way for the new cast members to shine. Neo and Trinity returning, despite the fact that they both died in revolutions, will bring in a bunch of old fans from 22 years ago. They are so monumental to the movies that making a movie without them as main characters would feel very off. It is unfortunate though that Lawrence Fishburne as Morpheus won't be returning to complete the trio, since he was a core member. Hopefully they'll have a solid enough explanation for his absence, or reveal a surprise cameo at the very least. This movie is blending the familiar with the divergent to give it its own identity. Having a bunch of new characters in the cast will help balance out the nostalgia from the trilogy. However, the movie won't bastardize Neo and Trinity as second fiddle to the new generation. Also, bringing back Niobe, the Merovingian, and Agent Johnson also made good use of grounding the films with its roots to the old one. I am cautiously optimistic about The Matrix Resurrections. I think this movie has the potential to be spectacular if they play their cards right. They won't make the same mistakes the second and third movies made. I hope you enjoyed my review and my perspective on why The Matrix Resurrections could be the best Matrix sequel. Join this channel for more upcoming reviews, and I look forward to reading your comments in your feedback in the comments section below.